Hello and welcome back to Disney Journey. I'm retired Imagineer Jim Shull, who is today obviously not in Lost Canyon. No, I'm on holiday, but what followed me up here were some thoughts that I want to share with you in this episode about DCA and what I'm calling DCA 2.5. Because they're going to be getting a lot of new rides, shows, and attractions over the next few years. And we'll be discussing those on this episode of Disney Journey. First, we have to set the stage. It was on day 2 and day 3 of D23 2024 that WDI and Disney Experiences rolled out they made the big reveal of what they planned for the future. So armed with a guidebook and my comfortable shoes, I started my march. The Disney Imagineering Pavilion, as always, was really the draw of the convention, in my opinion. On the first and second day, they did a tease. And on the third day, the day after the great reveal at the Honda Center, they truly pulled back the curtain to show all of the fans exactly what was being planned for their future. This model of the Lion King flume ride, proposed for Disney Adventure World in Mandeville, attracted a lot of attention. Building a flume ride in Paris has been in the works for many decades. Tropical America, proposed for Animal Kingdom, and Monsters Inc. both attracted attention. The investment in DCA is what drew people's attention. I asked Claude Coates, how was it to open Disneyland? How did it feel? He said, well, we took the weekend off and then started building the rest of it. Claude was a prophet because in time they took out the parking lot and added a second gate. This second gate, Disney's California Adventure, opened with high purpose and clear vision, but it struggled. DCA 1.0 was a noble effort, and it had some very good ideas, and they spent money. Titanium suns don't come cheap, nor do twin elephants. The Muppets, a playground, a raft ride, and a Pacific wharf. They were good, but they weren't enough. I contend to this day that the largest failure, if you want to call it a failure, of DCA was not the park, but its neighbor. Had DCA been located anywhere else other than across the street from Disneyland, the park that Walt himself designed, walked in, and even had an apartment in, if that had not been the case, DCA would have thrived far more than it did. A wise man once told me the solution to DCA's problems were rub a little money on it. The Disney company decided to fix DCA's problems by revisiting some of its basic assumptions. The decisions made led directly to what is known as DCA 2.0. For several years, guests visiting this park could go to the preview center to get a taste of what was yet to come. The reimagined DCA 2.0 would have as an anchor Cars Land, an 11-acre expansion of the park, taking over a substantial part of what had been left over as useful parking. Among the highlights of my decades as an Imagineer, I have to count my time on Cars Land. It doesn't get better than this, I thought. Voyage of the Little Mermaid brought a different taste, a different flavor to DCA 2.0, providing it with a family-friendly, high-capacity dark ride in the classic Disney vocabulary. A personal favorite of mine are the Red Car Street trolleys. Not much capacity, but a fun ride nevertheless. When DCA 2.0 opened, it successfully reset guest expectations as far as what this park was. Now, at last, Disney California Adventure was a worthy competitor to that little park, Walt's Park, right across the Esplanade. I don't know why there's going to be DCA 2.5. Suffice to say there is going to be one. And the details released at D23 2024 were certainly enough to whet the appetite of any Disney fan. So, what follows are my guesses, based upon publicly released information about what the future holds for DCA and how it's going to roll out. First, thinking about where this could be built. Well, I know that Disneyland Forward has been approved, and so this parking lot is now open for expansion. Let's conduct a thought experiment and just for a moment ask, what if they only built DCA 2.0 within the existing park boundaries? That is to say, not go across the road. Stay just within the land they already have. What would that mean? Disneyland Resort has a lot of land. I mean, not as much as they did back before Disneyland opened, but it's still a lot of land because they took the parking lot for the original DCA. And for the expansion, they're going to have to take what remains of the original DCA Disneyland parking lot, starting with the Avengers Campus. This expansion is exciting because it adds 2 new rides, doubling the ride capacity inside of Avengers Campus. Now, as it was presented, this ride was based on something we've seen in the past, or at least inspired by that. The ride vehicle concept model that was presented at D23 is a standard to the industry 12-passenger, motion-based, onboard audio ride vehicle. You might have even experienced this ride system if you've ridden The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Universal's Islands of Adventure. A scoop vehicle, which is what it's called there, has high sides, back, and front in order to conceal views from guests that the operator doesn't want them to see. Recently, Disney opened the Peter Pan Neverland Adventure at Fantasy Springs in Tokyo Disney Sea, and that ride vehicle is suspiciously similar to the Spider-Man scoop vehicle. Soon in Anaheim, we may be riding a new version of this ride system. The second of the 2 new rides being added to Avengers Campus is a bit of an invention because you'll be seated in a over-the-shoulder harness seat or chair, and then you'll be picked up and thrown about in a kook arm. Now this is a little different. I've been in such rides, but never one where you detach from the arm. A similar concept was showcased in Innovations in an area that was called Sum of All Thrills. Playing by the rules that you cannot expand beyond DCA's current boundaries, it seems likely that the expansion of Avengers Campus will occur here, in a parking lot, behind Cars Land and the Galaxy Breakout. It's likely the expansion opening will be right here. The vacant land is, well, surrounded by a lot of different things. Buildings, rides, back-of-house trolley barns. There's land, but it's tight. In conclusion, based upon what we've had revealed, in the not-too-distant future, this parking lot is going to look a whole lot different. Probably closer, something like this, which will replace one of these beautiful little green areas in Avengers Campus. But it'll replace it for something better. And we always love rides, don't we? The area will also be finally complete. There'll be 4 rides, circulation, restaurant, shops, a complete land. Among the things that will be impacted will likely be this, the Avengers Vault, which is the retail outlet there in the land. It's pretty small right now, but I would bet you $5 that behind that wall will be the exit to the e-ticket Avengers ride. Don't know when the construction walls will go up, but soon this view will change. The addition of Coco as a dark ride, boat ride that's large-scale, character-driven, family-friendly, fills a need that DCA has. Located there on Paradise Pier, across from Paradise Bay, it fills a need that's pretty obvious. The characters of the movie Coco are already a feature of Paradise Gardens, and so it's a natural reach to extend the connection, the character environments, and bring them into Pixar Pier. As I said before, this is something DCA has needed for a very long time. I wouldn't call it their version of Small World, but I would call it, well, their version of something else that also recently opened over at Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea, and that is Tangled. Tangled is a high-capacity, family-friendly boat ride, employing special effects and character animation. Looking at the square footage of the Tangled ride at Tokyo Disney Sea, we can see that it's a bit over 24,000 square feet, which is adequate for a high-capacity boat ride. When you look around for a place for Coco, there just so happens to be such a place. Replacing the warehouse would yield a site of 24,000 and change square feet, suitable for Coco. So given that these stars are in alignment, again, it's sometime in the not too different future that we'll be on this ride. And next is a Na'vi in the room. At D23, the announcement was made that yes, indeed, Pandora was coming to the Disneyland Resort. And the part of the resort it'll be landing in will be Disney California Adventure. The concept art is, well, pretty epic, pretty breathtaking, very ambitious. It's big in ambition, and it will transform whatever part of DCA it lands in. The boat shown in the concept art suggests that the ride vehicle may be borrowed from Shanghai Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a new, state-of-the-art breakthrough technology of a ride system that had onboard audio, variable speed, and turning capability. Now, combining that with animated props, animated figures, projected effects, projections, it was state-of-the-art and redefined state-of-the-art. This is a ride system whose vehicle can even go down a drop. This diagram shows that the Pirates boat in Shanghai is different because it allows the guest to look in any direction as the boat pivots or even drops backward. At Shanghai Disneyland, the Pirates of the Caribbean building is pretty substantial. However, it doesn't take up as much room as you might think for a scale of ride its size. Now, turning back to Anaheim, we're going to keep the old rules of you can't build outside of DCA. And that leads us to the obvious question. Where would you put a Shanghai-sized Pirates building in this new park? The obvious candidate is Hollywoodland, here in DCA. This section of the park has the Muppets, the old Millionaire building, a restaurant that's long closed, a little theater, but it is available land. And land is what's needed for Pandora. This area of the park is, well, it's not very occupied. It has a couple of gates that lead to an old closed restaurant and a Coke area where you can get a beverage, although I confess never having stopped there. Also, the old original Who Wants to Be a Millionaire building that's been used for merchandise, but again, the day I was there, it was closed. Of course, Muppets is nearby, but it has its entrance now moved. It's not the opening day entrance. And lastly, Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. is the old building that used to be Superstar Limo. Picking this site reveals that, yes, indeed, you could put the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean building there. So taking the concept art and dropping it onto the site, this is what it could look like. Replacing the Hollywood backlot with Pandora would certainly change the look and feel and appearance of this side of DCA. Replacing hard concrete and stucco with, well, plant material and water, greenery, cool, and create a more exotic environment. Certainly something to look forward to and an asset to DCA, both now and in the future. This expansion of DCA will add a lot to the park, which will result in something that guests may start calling by a different name, Disney's Adventures in California. That brings us to the end of this journey. But keep your bag packed because there'll be another journey real soon. Until the next time then, goodbye, not from Lost Canyon, but from the ocean here in Cambria, California.